Welcome to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. You've been watching the news this week, for the last several weeks. You are hearing a lot again about our General Flynn. He's back in the limelight. And the whole issue is stirring up all kinds of chaos. The liberals in government and in the legal profession, judge and that sort of thing, they're still trying to put him in jail. And the other folks on the other side are saying, there's nothing to see here. I ran across an article written by Jonathan Turley. You know Jonathan Turley? He's a professor at George Washington University Law School. He shows up on the I guess CNN and other places like that periodically. And he just upsets their apple cart pretty regularly lately because he doesn't agree with them. Well, he's not a conservative at all, but he is a lawyer and he knows the law. And he has been in opposition to the impeachment proceedings against this president from the beginning. And now he's talking about the Flynn case, and he's got the same attitude. Turley saw the partisan nonsense behind the impeachment. It wasn't because he was so smart. According to him, everybody can see it. But the Democrats had promised their base that they would impeach this president. And so they can't give it up. Well, now it's the Michael Flynn case with the ex-National Security Advisor and General of the Army. Michael Flynn's conspiracy case is now coming apart. Judge Sullivan, who has been overseeing all of this, had no options but to dismiss the case. Only he didn't. He hasn't. In fact, he wants to try the case all over again. Come around a different way. There was no evidence to prove Russian collusion. Even the government agents who interviewed the general said he didn't lie. They said Flynn spoke with a Russian ambassador, which they considered a violation of the Logan Act. He was a presidential appointee with need to speak with the ambassador. They're willing to look the other way. The Logan Act is old. It goes back to before Lincoln, I think. I'm not sure. Flynn faced a relatively minor single count of false statements with the likelihood of no jail time. But Judge Sullivan, was suggesting that he could have been charged with treason. Treason subjects you to the death penalty. Jump ahead. Sullivan then gave Flynn a menacing choice. He said, quote, "I cannot assure you that if you proceed today, you will not receive a sentence of incarceration. I'm not hiding my disgust, my disdain." And Flynn, unsurprisingly, opted to wait. But now the same judge is about to retry the case. He's appointed a retired judge, John Gleeson, to combat the DOJ's motion to dismiss and possibly seek a perjury charge against Flynn. The crime they want to get him on is that he lied to the FBI. But commentators have noted that Sullivan, allowing amicus briefs from anti-Trump lawyers, is outsourcing the prosecution. In an op-ed piece for USA Today, Turley called Sullivan out, saying he made a mess of the Flynn case and that his overreach presiding over this case is perverting justice. It's mob rule, he said in his court, whether he wants to admit it or not with the decisions that he's making. This from USA Today. Sullivan is largely responsible for the current posture of the case. Flynn was supposed to be sentenced in December 2018 before the hearing took this bizarre turn of events. Using the flag in the courtroom as a prop, Sullivan incorrectly accused Flynn of being, quote, an unregistered agent of a foreign country while serving as the national security advisor to the President of the United States, end of quote. Arguably, that undermines everything he said this flag over here stands for. Arguably, you sold your country out. He then questioned whether Flynn should have been charged with treason. So here we are. We're about to go down another rabbit hole in search of a crime. Flynn appears to have a good lawyer. Have you seen this lady? And the president is on his side. I say look for all this to get so messy that the president steps in and just pardons Flynn to stop the mess. He'll probably do that after the election, but if it gets that bad, he will do it. After the election is a phrase you're probably going to hear a lot about in the next months, all summer for that matter. After the election, when he cannot run again, if you think this president pulled out all the stops, you haven't seen the stops. Gleason's going to file his briefs on June 10, and that's when we'll know what's going on. And nothing's going to be settled until that happens. And my guess is that's not going to settle it either. Stay tuned. We'll come back and visit this again at the appropriate time. I want to talk to you next about the result of COVID choices. Stay tuned.